All right, so let's talk about being able to reuse content. Notice that here we have in the list of websites, we have four columns that as this becomes smaller, the columns disappear, all right, and you're only left with less column because they don't all fit. And so that's great. It's responsive. We also added the capability that when we navigate to to either the edit or the new website, right? That we collapse this list of websites. We collapse it into the left-hand side. That was supposed to be scrollable. Why is this not scrollable? Did we not make this scrollable? I thought we did this last class. Did I break it? Maybe I did it for pages. Oh, maybe I just gave you a hint how to do it. Right? Maybe I did it on the div. I did it on the CSS, and I showed you. Okay. All right. Anyway, so notice that this content actually should be exactly the same as this content. Yes? And it should show just the names, just the first column, and maybe the cog. And I see that most of you have done that. But there's two ways of doing it. One way is to just reuse the same exact HTML that you use for this content, right, and just paste it onto this page over here, and that's fine, right? A nicer way to do this is to reuse this content, right? Reuse whatever you use to generate this to render this left-hand side. Okay, so let's look at how we would do that. Let's see, on the website view, we have here, we have two templates. We have the website list, which lists all of them. It's this view right here. Whereas this one is showing this hard-coded content on the left-hand side. Right, it's using on the left-hand side this UL that's rendering this long list over here on the left-hand side. But we already have content that renders this UL, right? It's right here, website list. So it'd be great if we could reuse this, right? If we could reuse this this list here, this UL, we could reuse it over here. Okay. So there's a couple ways of doing it. One of the ways that we could do is to just have this content of ULs that generates dynamic content. Just have it separately, okay, and then inject it and include it into a parent view that can perhaps be used elsewhere, right? It could be certainly be reused in the website new. It could be reused in the website edit, right? It could be reused in a whole bunch of places, right? Okay. So for instance, we could declare in a separate HTML. We could say website list, and since this is going to be even a smaller element, we might even call this a component, right? A component, right? It's not even going to be a full-fledged page, right? So we could grab perhaps just that UL, right? And we can just paste it in here. You can paste it in there, right? And then go back to the list view, and then reuse it in different places. We could reuse it here, right, to populate this content over here, or we could reuse it here, right, to generate this UL down here. See this over here? We could just take this out, right, and just include this little components HTML over here, right? We could say div ng include, right, and then give it the location of that page, right, of where this is, right. So where is it? It's located. Where is it located? Let's see. It's located in maybe views, website, templates, website list component.client.html. Okay, so that when I render it, it doesn't work. Wait, what? Oh, right. We never fetched the data. Right. We never actually fetched the data. So the controller for the new website, right, which is right here, right. That's the HTML. The controller is right here. Oh, we never created a controller for this. We never created a controller. Okay, let's create a controller really quick for this view. I just copied it from the list because it's almost the same. Right? It's only it only has a different name. New controller, new controller, new controller. User ID, very good. It uses the find websites for users. That's perfect. That's all we need. Right? And we'll tie it to the template that it goes with. Right? So let's see. The website is right here. There it is. There it is. And there's its controller. And now it's even worse. Hey, what's going on here? Console, controller. Oh, I can't find the new controller. Okay, we declared the controller, but we probably never loaded it in the index page. Let's load it. Let's see the controller. Let's declare it right here. So it's almost this one, right? So I'll copy that. And this is a website edit controller. No, website new controller, was it? Yeah. Okay, let's run it. There it is, right? So on the left-hand side, notice that we have the view, right? And now this component can be reused in several places, right? We could replace the list. We could replace the list with that include, the same exact include we used for the new. Right? This same include. We could just replace that. So if we say cancel, is that working? No. Let's fix that cancel. That cancel should go where? Right now, cancel is going to website lists, and that should be how? It should be hash /user ID. Do we have user ID? I think we do, no? Website. The list of all the websites. Do we have user ID? Let's see. Do we have? We do. There it is, right? It's model.user ID. Model.user ID. So let's refresh. If we do cancel, it goes back to the list of all websites. So if I say plus, notice that it scrunches up, right? It allows you to create a new one. If you cancel, it expands and it shows the entire list. That make sense? Right? And we're reusing, right, that same view. If we could put it anywhere we want it, right? That we want a quick list of all websites. We can just plug it and play it anywhere we want. That make sense? Okay. The only thing you have to make sure is that your controller will need to fetch the information, right, the data that particular component needs, for it to render its content. Yes. For what? For this? Not for this. We're gonna definitely be using it for the widgets in a minute. Okay. But I'm just presenting you with the topic, right? What can you do, right? There was a couple questions on the folks that already started playing around with ng include that you were asking on Piazza. I think some folks were getting errors, and I believe what was happening is that this ng include has two versions, right? It has this version that has is using an element, and then is using this as an attribute, right? But it could also be has a different version where you can use it as a element, right? Use as an element, and then provide the source src. Okay, and one of the problems was that this here, the argument of either version, the argument here, right? The argument has to be an expression. It's an expression that needs to evaluate into a string. What I'm doing here is that notice that I am I am putting I'm putting a quotes around this. I'm saying that this is a literal string, right? Consider this expression to evaluate to this string. If I remove the quotes, this is going to interpret this as an expression that needs to be evaluated. Right? It's going to interpret it as a variable, right? Because what ng-include does is that whatever you type in here, you can type either a variable that is declared on the scope, or you can declare a function that is going to be called, and then it tells you what should I include. Right? That's very powerful, right? That you can dynamically choose what to display, right? Based on whatever logic you have behind the scenes. Right? Behind the scenes, you can decide what to include. Here, I am hard-coding that, and I'm saying no. This is not a variable. It's a hard-coded string. Always load this list of websites. That make sense? Right? Now, in the assignment, I think I suggest that you can go either way. Right? That if you prefer to do it this way, hard-coded, that's fine. If you prefer to call a function, that would be okay as well. So let's use the same technique to play around with the widgets. Okay, where I think that's where it becomes more powerful. Right? So let's do that next.